So I wanted to follow up on these weekly meditations with the following discussion about why men are men and why women are women. And it's a very interesting conversation because it is something that has been on the tip of social and political conversation at the moment. And I'm speaking about this whole idea of pronouns and transgenderism and this whole kind of arbitrary line about what distinguishes a man from being a man and what distinguishes a woman from being a woman. And it's a very, very quite comical situation. And in my kind of observation of what happens is these two, the extreme parties, as it were, who would believe that if you are a woman and you can be called a man, very much ignore the fundamental principle which is inherent in nature and the world, which is dualism. Dualism is the only force that allows you to be conscious in this physical world. I believe rather fittingly I've worn the yin-yang symbol today, and that kind of describes everything in nature and what I'm talking about. So there is male and there is female, and there is light and there is dark, like the yin-yang kind of projects. And the reason nature is set up in this way is, like I kind of prefaced, is to be conscious of the world. You can only understand darkness because you have a knowledge of lightness. You can only see me in this camera now because there is light shining on my face, and you can interpret the image on your screen because you have a known quality of what it is to be dark. These two inherent forces in nature are a necessary component in order for you to be conscious of it, in order for you to be aware of what was happening. If you only knew light, there would just be light. You would not be aware of another. And this is similar again in the masculine and feminine archetype. So you have male, you have female, you have yin, you have yang, you have dark, you have light, and so on and so forth. Everything in nature has this dualistic quality, and it allows you to come to an understanding of what is in front of you. The only reason you know what a man is because you have knowledge of what a woman is. And this is where I kind of take my stance in the relationship of this socio-political comical nature, I think I would describe it, is because that is the inherent truth of nature. I was thinking about how the different seasons are also representative of this dualism. You only know summer because you have no knowledge of winter. And the fundamental principle I perpetuate and I'm hoping to communicate with you is no one is better than the other. We need both in order to have consciousness, in order to have awareness, in order to move through the world with direction. And summer is summer, and some people like more summertime more than they like winter, but other people like wintertime more than they like summer. But to have the arrogance of mind in saying that winter and summer are the same is simply not true, as it is also ludicrous to say that masculinity and femininity, or male and female, are almost you can kind of pick and choose, as they are interchangeable. It is not true. Which, again, people don't want to hear. They want to be able to be flexible in what they identify with. And this is a topic I can talk on for hours, and if that's something you're interested in, I would very much like to continue the conversation with about it. But fundamentally, kind of lost my train of thought there, but I wanted to kind of describe what each of these poles are indicative of. So there is a difference between male and masculinity and female and femininity. Male, and again, words can be disseminated from meaning if you go too far down the rabbit hole, but the idea that male points towards, in my mind anyway, is the biological sense that you can understand as a male, male genitalia, testosterone, things of this nature. And conversely, the opposite, female, is female genitalia, estrogen. And again, you start to see that duality, testosterone male, estrogen female. Not that men don't have estrogen and women don't have testosterone, but again, it's those two poles. Those two poles, they're necessary to determine and distinguish one from another. Masculinity and femininity point to an expression of that particular pole. Masculine energy, or yang energy, is more active, is more assertive, is more dominant. Feminine energy is more passive, it's more yielding, it's more submissive. The problem comes with, again, disseminating words from meaning, and even in that word submissive, you appropriate it with negative connotations. Or to be submissive is to be weak. There is a difference between weakness and vulnerability, and passivity. Again, we must refrain from placing judgment on these objective terms. And if you don't believe me, we can take things to the very primal level and speak about, well, men have a penis and women have a vagina. What is indicative? What is the quality of the penis? The penis is yang, is assertive. You penetrate a woman. The vagina is yielding. It accepts, or the word yielding really kind of describes it, but it yields to the masculine energy. But even in that kind of poetic description, if you think about how those two forces work with each other, again, I'm using the yin-yang symbol, when those two connect, when you have the assertiveness of masculinity with the yielding quality of the femininity, what is the product of those two things? It's a child. It's life itself. And what is life itself if not nature? I think I'm going to end on that conclusion, because I think it's a fairly nice summary, and I hope you really enjoyed that kind of description of the two poles and why they are inherent to understand the world we live in. Because like I said, you would have no known knowledge of light if you did not know what it was like to be in the dark. And I'll see you again, my friends.